everyone. I have been playing Dreams for a little while now. Ever since the early access, although I was pretty bad at the game back then. But now, I'd say I'm a little bit better at the game. And one of the things I like to do in Dreams is I like to design a lot of puppets. Most of my puppets are they are just used for animation, so you can't play with them and possess them. But I've got this little guy here. He was from when my Kravlania project was still a game. It's not a game anymore, but I have this left over, this playable puppet. So essentially, in this video, I will be taking you through the basic process of getting your puppet from one of these to this. So you'll need to have a basic understanding of Dreams, such as sculpting and paint mode and other things like that. So you'll want to make sure you know how to do all of that. There should be some tutorials in the game and elsewhere for you to follow. So let's have a little look at my little character. As you can see, it plays nicely. It has its own jump animation. And I can do other things. I can even make it run and stuff like that. But I'm not going to be showing you how to add extra stuff like that. Essentially, we're just going to be going through how you can decorate and design your puppet and set it up to work. Just work without adding extra stuff. So it's like a canvas for you to add all your logic and stuff like that, but you can still walk around with it. So the very first thing you'll have to do is consider what kind of puppet you want to use. In the Dreamverse, there are 3 main types made by Media Molecule. You can find more with your search, and most of those will be made from this one. But yes, these are the 3 basic templates that you have. You can find the blue one here, and you can find the other 2 in here, along with the blue one as well. But these are the blank 3. So, what is the difference between them all? This is the blank puppet deluxe. If we scope into him, he has quite a few little animations, like his jump animation and some poses. He's got some follow behavior, and he's even got a level complete animation. So this one has some pre-made stuff in it already. You can delete that stuff if you want to, or you can just leave it there. I like to use this one, but I often delete stuff off of it. But yes, this is the advanced blank puppet. I'm pretty sure it's called. No, the basic, sorry, that's the opposite. The blank puppet basic, as you can see, it is, as its name implies, very basic. It doesn't have jumping animations, it doesn't have follow behavior, it doesn't have a level complete animation like we do here. So this one is a little bit more blank, so that allows you to add extra stuff on. So if you're a little bit more advanced, you could add stuff like your follow behavior yourself. So I would recommend using this one if you're a little bit less good at logic, or if your character is going to be following, and if you want a level complete animation and stuff like that. So finally, we have this one, the blank sliding platforming puppet. This one is quite a bit different from the other 2. Not only is it different proportional wise, but it also has different behavior. If we go into play mode, hang on, I need to make it so we can depossess this little guy. I forgot to set that up. Let's see, I'll do a triangle. Sorry about this. Okay, let's grab this one. These 2, the deluxe and the basic, they move like this. They feel quite floaty, as you can see. Of course, we can change that later on, but yes, that's how they move. And the reason the short one is called the blank sliding platforming puppet is because it does exactly that. If we grab it and throw it down the slope, it has its own sliding animation. These two, they kind of just run down. And even if we take the short guy, you can see he feels a lot more cartoony, and you'll also see they've even put some advanced little depth of field stuff, so the background looks a bit blurry. So yes, there's that one. So it really depends what kind of thing you're making. If it's going to be like a platformer with lots of sliding mechanics, and you don't know how to make sliding animation stuff, you can use this puppet. If you want a completely blank canvas, you can use this one. And if you want a little bit of extra help, like the follow behavior and all that, you can use this one. So I am going to choose the blue one. That's the one I usually use anyway. So let's get rid of these other two. And so now that you've selected your puppet, you are going to want to think about its proportions. So is it going to be a very big character, or is it going to be very small? Obviously we can grab the character and we can just resize like that, but we can change some of its proportions as well, because as you can see, this one started from this, so obviously you can make it shorter, because you can see I didn't just do that. You can see. So what we do for that is our stretch tool. Let's grab it and scope in. To make the legs shorter, we can grab the pelvis and obviously the taller. For this, it's usually best to use precise move. If it will let me, which it doesn't really want to let me. I don't know why it's being like that. That's annoying. Okay. I don't know why that's not working, but yeah. So what we're going to be doing is I am going to be kind of ripping this guy off. I'm going to be trying to copy him to the best of my ability. So I'm going to be making a relatively short character by this. So we are going to put it down here. We can adjust the arms in similar fashion. You grab the hands like this. If you just do this, it only makes the forearm bigger. So we're going to move that there. You could make them long if you want like a monster type of character, but we are going to put them at about here. So we can make the chest shorter by grabbing the neck. We can make the stomach shorter by grabbing the chest. We can make the pelvis shorter by grabbing the stomach. So I'm going to do a bit of that now. We could also adjust the length of the neck if we wanted to. So we could do that or that, but I'm just going to keep it like that. We could make the feet a little bit longer as well if we wanted to, but I think I'm going to keep the feet the same. My puppet is a little bit awkward now, so we are going to move that like that. Okay, so before I move on, I'm just going to quickly tell you, you can stretch the arms out like this. So if you want a more buff character, you could do that, and you can do the same with the pelvis. You could do that. Yeah, so if you want to make a bigger or heavier character, you could stretch these out and then adjust the stomach and stuff. So yes, you can do that, but for now we are just going to leave it like this. So your next step is to think about what shall we do? We are going to leave the head behind a bit. We are going to think about texture on our puppet. So if we look at Benjamin over here, we can see that he looks a little bit fluffy, and I've changed the flex and stuff. So I've done this with style mode and stuff. So you're going to want to think, is this character going to be that fluffy? And so what we are going to do is Well, if you're going to add fluff and fur, you could very well use looseness, and that's usually the way that you would do it. However, there's a little trick in Dreams called Sculpture Detail. So, basically, you can add detail to an object, and you can take detail away. Essentially, let's say we have a very high detailed object over here, and we want to make it fluffy. Usually, when we make it fluffy with looseness, yes, it does look loose and fluffy, but if we go in here, since it's red means that it's taking up a lot of memory, blue means it's not. But we can see that this one is. So instead of using looseness, just in case your object is pretty high on thermo, we can use sculpture detail. Let's take away the detail. As you can see, it's having a similar effect. The more detail you take away, the fluffier your object will be, just as if you used looseness. So in as many places as you can, try to take away sculpture detail instead of using looseness. Of course, there's nothing wrong with using looseness, but this will help you save a little bit of thermo. So, if we look at him, he is not that fluffy on his jumper, to be honest. So I am just going to take away just a little bit of detail for those. His head is a little bit more fluffy. So is his neck. Let's do his feet. Not feet, his legs, sorry. And there we go. I am also going to change all of our flex on this guy. And that. So we've changed the texture of our puppets. We could add a bit more. You can always change the texture later, but the reason I say to do the texture first is because of this next step where we start. No, I'm lying. Ignore what I was saying. I was thinking of a different step, but the next step is to start actually sculpting and changing the shape of our character. So I am going to go in. I'm going to pick the color of this character. And let's see, we can use mirror mode to help us. Okay, so it's not the best, but I have tried my best to model him the best to my ability. So yours will probably look very different, but this is the shape that we are going to do. So as you can see, this is, well, his jumper is blue, or his sweater, whatever you want to call it. This is the wrong shade of blue, isn't it? So our next step is going to be colouring, and this is where we'll see why I told you to do texture before colouring. Because say I put some, actually it'd be better if I just show you here. Let's say I did a little thing like this. Hello? Looks like an eye. Right, so if I did that and I made it fluffy, as you can see, that looks nothing like what I was trying to do, a white circle with a black circle in. That just looks like a faded blob thing. So that's usually why we do that first, so we can colour it a little better. Of course, you can always just change it again if you need to. You can do the texture as you want, but I prefer to do the texture first. So anyway, the way we colour is you don't want to use tint because that will stop you from being able to spray paint, and spray paint is a pretty important thing. So you could grab any of the base colours if you like. You could even grab a colour wheel thing to do like that. I'm going to use the colour picker to make my own custom little colour. Let's do something like this. Wow, that is almost perfect. It's a bit more blue, but that will do. I'm going to save that just in case. And I'm going to paint that part blue. And then we are going to paint his legs green. I think it's that green. I'm pretty sure it is that green. Okay. So that is how I coloured this one, but we could make this a little bit better. We grab our spray paint again, and let's grab, how about a black, and then surface snap, and then add some soft blend and some opacity loss. We could add a little bit of texture. Make him look a little bit dirty. So you could use this for all sorts of things. But as you see, we're making him look a little bit more scuffed up, which would make sense in his design. Might want to have a bit more. There we go. Add some extra details. And this isn't the best, but it'll do. You get the point. It's a bit too fluffy for me. Okay. Right. Now, that's nice and all, but we could take that. Hang on, I am getting ahead of myself. I am sorry. I'm just going to colour in his legs. Right. Next. Sorry, I'm rushing ahead. I'm not thinking. I need to colour these like that. Okay. Right. So. This is nice and all, but we can take it a step further. If we go into paint mode and then let's select a painting and let's select a colour. And it might be better to change your visual feedback, but we can do a little bit of this. We could add a layer, just a faint layer of paint to give it some more like flashy details. You don't want to keep painting down like this and all over your shirt like that, because we can't move paintings like we do here. So you'll want to make one painting here, which you can add into, which you can add into your shirt here. Then you'll make another one here. I'm just copy and pasting, but you should make your very own. And then we could add one here and change this up a little bit. But yeah, and then you could do some for the arms. I'm not going to do that for the arms because that will take quite a while, and you should get the point. But yes, so now we move on to the head. Now, funny enough, I like to do the head first, but I thought for this tutorial it would make sense to do the head after we deal with the body. So you've textured your body, you've coloured it in, and you've put your paint on. Nice. Or could we skip the head? No, not skip the head, sorry. Okay, actually, you know what? Forget about the head, I'm sorry that I keep going back and forth. But let's complete the body. So, as you can see, we had some buttons here. I'm just going to copy them. We can add sculptures into our body. So, scope all the way in while holding the object, like this. Make sure that movable is off, and you probably want collidable off as well. But if you have movable on, then your thing will fall on the floor, like that. Okay, so put all of your sculptures into your body, like so. I should have done the paint after. I mean, before. Yeah, that should be enough for you. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the head. So, for the head, you are most likely going to be using the sorry, my brain has gone blank. The mirror tool. Because well, faces aren't symmetrical in real life usually, but they are pretty symmetrical. And so we're just going to try that. So start off with a ball, I suppose. Let's look at him. So he's quite flattened on both sides, like this. Then he has a little thing, his little muzzle. Oh, this is going a bit wrong. I think that'll do. Maybe? We're not trying to be too accurate. But yeah, get your shape of your face done. Oh yeah, we should add the eye sockets as well. Let's... this is probably... actually, you'll want to get the colour of the face completely done before you add the eye sockets, probably. So let's do that, I think. Okay, maybe not that. Let's do a bit more of a... Let's do that. Okay. So then let's carve the eyeballs now. This is going to look a little bit cursed. Let me have a look at you. The eyes should be a little bit bigger. I'm just gonna check this. Right, we have the eyes there. We have the nose there. Okay, yes, this is looking rather strange, isn't it? Okay. This could be helpful, is making your elements first. It could probably help you a little, so you could fix your character a little bit more like that. And his eyes, I think his eyes need to be smaller. Yeah, this is not going very well, is it? Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. This isn't going very well. Okay, we can... Okay. That is scaring me a little. Right, we are just not going to add a face to this. We're just going to leave it blank. It's not as scary when it's blank. Okay, so let's just pretend that you've put all your things in. You've got your head sculpt done. And you've got the rest of it done. I'm leaving the hands behind for a reason, because his hands I've rigged up, and we're going to talk about how I'm going to add these in a second, but right, so on this one, if you look carefully, I've made it so his eyes and his ears and his hair can all move around and flap. That's because of an animation. What I'm going to show you won't just make them do that on their own, they'll need to animating, but this is how you set them up to be animated. So as you can see, I can move his arm like this. His arm isn't all around like this, where I just move it in parts. It's actually all connected. As you saw there, we have these things called connectors, and look into his head, his ears, and his eyes, and all that also are using connectors to move. So, let's see. What you'll do is you will take everything that you are trying to connect, and you're going to want to rig it up. I already said that you'll need to know. I like to use the ball and socket joint. Here we go. Got a nice floppy ear here. And you want to turn off movable, or otherwise this will happen. We could also scope in and do the same with the hair if we wanted to. There we go. Maybe move it a little. Yeah, okay. Right, so if you're doing your eyes 3D, because you could draw them on. I've done a few characters like that. Oh, what was that? You just draw. You can draw some like eyes. That's very. That doesn't even look like an eye, but yeah, you get what I mean. You draw it on. Right. So if you are doing 3D eyes, you can also even rig the eyeballs. Though they look a little bit strange, so I would actually recommend that you draw on your eyes or make them 2D, but you can make them 3D. Then, really, you just follow the rest of the steps. You can spray some more colours on it. You could adjust a lot of things. You could put objects into it, and you could add a layer of paint onto it, stuff like that. As you'll see, I've left the hands behind. That's because I can't be bothered to make a whole rigged hand for these, so I'm just going to put these on. So, how do we replace a limb with another limb? Well, we scope all the way into it, we move the other limb, and then we will adjust what you're putting in, like that, and then you can delete that. And as you see, this works as if it's always been there. Let's copy this one, and we can do the same on this side. So, if you look here, whatever I do on this side with this arm is also mirrored on that side. So I could do that and there. When you do what I just did to add your limb on, as you'll see, the mirror tool doesn't apply. You could use this to your advantage. Say you're making a pirate character, and you want to give them one of them peg legs or something like that. That's not very brown. Get very brown. You could do that so they have asymmetrical legs that don't. So you can make asymmetry instead of the mirror tool making everything the same. So yeah. Okay. Well. So now, by now, you would have basically the design of your character completed. So that's great news. However, as you can see, it's not quite ready for us to use yet. Oh wait, it was this. Okay. This one is messing up the logic of this one, so I'm just going to turn that off. Okay. Right. Anyway, so just pretend it doesn't look hideous. Right, let's possess it and try playing with it. So, as you'll see, we've got quite a few issues going on. It's like way too fast, it's way too glidey, and also it's not even walking, it's just floating. That is very strange. This is a very common thing. And the way we fix that is you want to open its logic, and you want to go into its poses, and you want to go into its running pose and parameters. I'm pretty sure this wouldn't happen if you used a basic puppet, you know, the white one. But whenever you change the height of the blue one, its running animation will mess it up. You can just delete the running animation, and it will actually work now, as you can see. But as you can see, a lot still feels just very, very wrong about this character. So what I'm going to say next is so I'm not going to go through everything of the puppets because I'm going to be doing a different video on the puppets in my gadget series at some point. But all you need to know is this page is for like your essential stuff, like the speed it moves and its jumping and stuff like that. This page adjusts how the legs move. This page adjusts how the upper body moves. This is for the bones. This is some behaviors. This is some physics, and yeah. So first of all, you're going to want to start with your speed. That's the most important part. Depending on how big or small or how you've modeled your puppet, you might have different speeds for it. So while mine might feel very quick for this character, since it's a relatively small character, you might want your character to... You might be making a very big character, so this would be a better speed. But on mine, it makes mine look too fast, so I'm going to bring it down to about 3.2. Similar thing, turn speed. Depending on how big your character is, you might want it to turn a lot slower. But on my one, this just doesn't feel right. This just feels annoying, to be honest. So let's turn that up a little. As you can see, that feels a lot better. But you'll see the legs are kind of a little bit disproportional to the way our puppet is moving. So to fix that, we'll go... Actually, first I'm going to get rid of this, the motion sensor movement. So what that does is, usually puppets will always have this on. When you tilt your controller, this happens, but let's say someone had like a bad controller, they might be walking like this the entire time. That's not very pleasant, is it? So you can use it if you want to, but I don't like it, so I just get rid of it. So yeah. Anyway, so about the legs didn't look quite right, and this is because of some settings called stridiness. So how do we adjust stridiness? Well, this is about the stride. So stridiness is essentially how far will the legs move. So if we turn it all the way up, you'll see that its legs kick up pretty far. That could be good for making your character look like they are running. But if we turn it down a load, the legs barely go up at all. So it's more marching-ish. Let's turn it to about here. Next we have the minimum striding time. So this is like how quick are the steps that they take. If you turn it up, they take very long steps. Now this looks incredibly wrong on my character. So let's turn that down a bunch. Okay, that looks a little bit too fast, so let's turn it up a little. And there we go, that kind of suits the character a little bit more. Okay, so also you'll notice that my start and my stop take a couple of seconds to work. That's due to acceleration and deceleration. That's essentially how quickly does it take for the puppet to stop. The higher the acceleration, the quicker it can move. The higher the deceleration, the quicker it can stop. So now that we've moved them up, it starts and stops a lot quicker. That feels a little bit too sudden, so I'm going to move them down a little. There we go. Still feels a bit fast. You also have its jump height, so let's see how high it jumps. So I actually quite like that jump height. Of course, you could make it lower. You could even add a double jump. Next, let's see. You could also add a little bit of bounciness. That looks very strange on my character though, so I'm not using that. You also have the center of gravity, so how close to the ground will it move? Negative numbers will make it higher off the ground. Positive numbers will make it lower to the ground, like that. But I'm not going to use that. You could also add some more of these, but as I said, I'm not going to go through all of these. On this page, it's more how you'll do its personality. So let's add a bit more arm swing, arm vigor. There we go. A little bit of sway and a little bit of longiness, a little bit of spring and a little bit of sassiness. Okay, that doesn't look too good, but yeah. So yes, so you can mess around with those, but as long as you get rid of that running pose chip and then just mess around a little with the movement stuff, that should make your designed puppet work. You don't want to adjust all the movement stuff first. You want to do this last, because like the design of your puppet could greatly affect the way it moves and looks. So yeah, that's essentially it for this, really. I know it wasn't the most detailed thing, but this is more of like how exactly you should model onto your puppets. I hope that this helped you, and I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.